Welcome to Talking Targaryen. Today we're discussing House of the Dragon, Episode 3, titled Second of His Name. This is our instant take. We just watched the episode, so these are our raw, immediate reactions to it, but check back later in the week for our full recap and analysis. In this discussion, we're going to spoil everything through Episode 3, but nothing from any future episodes. We don't watch the next time on, and none of us have read Fire and Blood. With that, I'm Gil.
I'm Daniel.
I'm Alon.
Let's get into it. I'll start it off by saying that I think in the last week review we did, I talked about how I like the show and I'm compelled by it, but it hasn't grabbed me yet. I'm not in love with it yet, and I'm not at that point where I'm dying to see what happens next. I would say this is the episode where I fell in love with the show. Love this episode. I said afterward, Game of Thrones is back, officially. But Dan, what did you think of the episode?
Yeah, I completely agree. I am so hooked now. I know we have a podcast about the show, right? So, we got to be somewhat interested in it. Mm-hmm. But this episode, I'm totally hooked now. We paused in the middle at one point while watching, and we were like, oh my God, we're only halfway through. Because I think
we're less than halfway through.
Yeah, we were just so hooked, and everything was so exciting. The tension between Rhaenyra and Viserys and Alicent, and all those conversations during the hunt about who's going to be heir. I was so bought into the tension. I feel like I finally started to really care about Rhaenyra this episode, and then also Daemon. Seeing the war in the Stepstones, all this stuff was so exciting and got me hooked on all the characters.
I especially loved the one-on-one duel between Daemon and the Crab Feeder.
Yeah, great cinematography during that.
Oh, so good. So good.
No, I also, equally to you guys, I really enjoyed this episode. Best episode yet. And I find myself actually starting to care a lot about individual characters now. And it's crazy, even Daemon.
Yeah.
I really like him right now.
Yeah, I think I was trying to think.
And Viserys.
Yeah, all of them.
Yeah.
I in the last couple of episodes, I talked about how, I'm intrigued by these characters. I didn't feel like I was fully connecting with them. And I think part of that is a lot of their struggles were theoretical. With Rhaenyra, we knew that she wanted to do more than just marry someone and live the life that's expected of her. But that was something that we knew was coming. And now you finally feel the actual weight of it. She's meeting... what was the last... the
Lannister?
Lannister. She's meeting Lannisters that want to marry... I think something like that.
Yeah, Jason Lannister.
Yeah, so you're seeing it actually happen. And it's so complicated because you feel the pressure on her. And where's that pressure coming from? It's her father, Viserys. But why is he putting pressure on her? It's because the realm is putting pressure on him. So there's this complicated thing where you're with both of the characters and they're both at odds with each other.
Yeah, and I feel like they really showed it to us finally this episode, right? Instead of telling us how they're feeling, I feel like we really saw it. Viserys, for example, you can just see his pain so much this episode, how conflicted he is, how frustrated he is with the way everyone's pushing him. And we all felt just this sense of dread around him, right? It's so frustrating to watch him. I mean, we all thought he was going to die this episode.
Yeah.
Everything seems so ominous around him and tense.
We generally have a problem with movies and TV shows where we're like, why don't these two characters just get in a room and talk it out? And finally, Viserys and Rhaenyra finally just talked, and I feel good now. I mean, I'm sure something's gonna happen, but I'm so happy they actually talked it out, and they're kind of on the same page now. They understand what the other's thinking now.
Emotionally, you watch that scene and you say, okay, I feel good about it because she finally heard the one thing she needed to hear. You get to be queen and the ruler of the entire world.
Am I asking for so much? Yeah. But what was cool too is, that scene did not resolve things, right? There is still so much tension. I'm not even totally sure Viserys is actually committed to this because he was torn up. He says there was a time I wavered. Mm-hmm. He wavered last night, right? So and obviously the whole realm is at stake.
Yeah, I think Viserys genuinely believes what he said. And we've been trying to pick apart his emotions in all of this. When he named her heir, did he really mean it? Or as Rhaenyra interpreted it, was it just a way for him to kind of spite Daemon? Or just a way to placate the realm until he has a boy? And I believe at a time he meant it. Then I think he wavered. And now he says it again, and he's like, this time I mean it for real. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was really cool too. The night before, when he's drunk and he's talking with Alicent, and again, you could really feel his pain talking about how, not all dragon riders are dreamers, right? So not all of them get these prophecies. Mm-hmm. And he had this prophecy of, having his son born with Aegon's crown, and he wanted it to be true so much that it led to the death of his wife. And so he thought the way to atone for this sin was to name Rhaenyra heir. And now he's wondering if he was wrong. And that whole scene, I thought that was gut-wrenching, the way he described that.
And I think there's a theme emerging in this show of making decisions that may or may not be the right decision, but are primarily driven by emotion. I think even if we look at Daemon at the end of the episode, they set it up. They need somebody. They even said Daemon would be great for this role to draw the crab feeder and his men out of the caves so the dragons can get to them. So it made sense for Daemon to go out there and do the fake surrender, but it was right after he got that letter from his brother. And you can see his face, and he has that Kylo Ren-esque tantrum where he beats the hell out of that guy. So I think a lot of that was emotionally driven. I want to tell him, my brother thinks he can swoop in here and save me. I don't need to be saved. You don't save me. I save me.
And that's another scene too where we're not being told things anymore. Like, we just see it. Like, we really see who Daemon is. And the setup was so cool, right? They've been spending 2 years now in like a horrible war. Like, this war looks miserable, right? I know, like, war is bad, right? But as far as war goes, this one looks horrible. And it's like, pretty boy like Prince Daemon is in this like brutal trench war for 2 years now. Mm-hmm. And then, his king finally says, or his brother finally says, oh yeah, we're going to help you out. And he's just so mad and he just wants to take it into his own hands. Like, I really felt where he was then too. That was awesome.
Yeah. And even Viserys' decision to help Daemon, again, was that a well thought out, considered logical decision? Or it was, he was nursing a hangover and Alicent.
Yeah. Well, it seems like it was the right motivation for Daemon. So it's like Daemon was mad at Viserys for it, but at the end of the day, Viserys sending that letter is what gave Daemon the motivation to do what he did. So
if Viserys was playing like a long game of chess, he's like, I wasn't even going to send an army. I just wanted to send the letter to trigger you into running into battle. What did you think of this is our first real kind of battle sequence in House of the Dragon. What did you think of it?
Okay, so I was a little underwhelmed by the battle because I think there were too many like just way zoomed in parts. I mean, there were some really cool shots where like, people got hit in the head, and stuff.
Yeah.
Really cool. But I don't know. I do feel I wish there were less cuts. I wish it was zoomed out a little more. I enjoyed it.
We had a lot of cool aerial shots though with the dragons.
That's true. Those were awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, there are different ways to shoot a battle depending on what you want to highlight. And it seems like in this case, they were less interested in highlighting the actual movements of the fight or the choreography. Yeah. Here it was more about just the pure chaos of the battle.
And you could feel the grittiness, right? And when Daemon is walking to kickstart his his almost like suicide attempt. You commented that it must smell so bad there, right? Like, I thought like you could really feel it.
Yeah.
All the crabs and corpses.
Oh yeah, and that's going to be the name of the podcast going forward. Crabs and corpses. And there's not much to say of that Daemon marching into battle besides how awesome was that. It takes a little bit of setup. Not everyone can pull it off, but I love the one person marching to certain death, but having a little ace up their sleeve and surviving. I love that maneuver. Reminded me a little bit of Aragorn, right?
And one of the Lord of the Rings movies where he's like the first to run into battle.
Yeah, exactly. It's just so good. Reminded me of Jon Snow. Remember this one? Where it's the rear view shot of him as the big army's coming toward him, and you're like, he's definitely going to die this time.
Except in this case, it seems like Daemon planned for the army to be there behind his back. Jon Snow just ran forward, not knowing what was going to happen.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of emotional decision-making. So needless to say, we love the episode. I will point out, it's not a complaint about the show. It's more just a fun quirk of the show because it has so many time skips. It just delights me to listen for the little signals of, boy, the kid's 2 years old now. Or 10 minutes later, 3 years. 3 years Damon's been out there. The way they try to tell you how much time has passed. My daughter is 7 of 10.
3 years since episode 1.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on the episode?
Take a quick look at my note. Oh, I do have some Daniel's bits if we want to do that
my
segment at
favorite
the end.
segment, Daniel's Bits.
Put up the graphic.
This is, Daniel's Bits. This is where he just lists off interesting tidbits that didn't naturally fit anywhere else in the conversation. So I was just giving you time to find them.
Oh, I got my bits.
Go ahead.
I found my bits. Okay, little dogs. We all reacted to the women were in that circle at the hunting ground, talking, and we just saw one of the women holding that little play dog.
A pug,
yeah, it was
maybe?
a pug, right?
Yeah, I was like, I didn't know they had those back then. And then you laughed at that because I always say back then, but it's really back then and then also adjacent, like another reality.
Yeah.
Oh, and I think somebody else, like this I'll have to watch for in the full take, in that same scene, somebody just ate a straight up chocolate chip cookie.
Yeah.
So I was waiting for someone to bring out a Starbucks cup.
Yeah, there's actually like a Chips Ahoy box under the chair there.
It's like, stop eating those Milanos. We didn't have those back then.
Back then.
The chocolate chip cookie was another one of my bits, so we'll skip that one. I just liked Rhaenyra described Jason Lannister as self-serious. I just thought that was a cool phrase. I'm going to use that in the future.
Oh, there's another cool phrase.
That was my other bit. That's okay. You can take it away.
Oh, quote. I don't remember the exact quote, so go ahead.
The hungover one?
Yeah, you like this one.
Oh, man. The gods are punishing me for my indulgence.
Yes.
Last night.
So great thing to say next time you're hungover.
Yeah, love it. Anything else?
I had one other. Oh, okay. This was just another line I really liked. Rhaenyra. Oh, I forget who Rhaenyra was complaining about. Oh, Rhaenyra complaining about Jason Lannister.
Wait. Rhaenyra was complaining this episode?
So Rhaenyra complaining about Jason Lannister to Kristen Cole, and Cole's response, "Do you want me to kill him?"
Yeah,
I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't see a ton of it this episode, but I'm enjoying the little bonding between them.
Yeah.
What did you make of them seeing the white heart at the end and letting it live?
She's meant to be heir.
How? Say more.
Oh, well, the White Hart is the king of the King's Wood. So they saw it instead of, Aegon
Maybe
and
Kristen
the king
Cole's
seeing it.
meant to be king then. I mean,
interesting.
he was there too.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, me neither.
And that's interesting that they didn't kill it. Like, there was some purity to that amidst all the grit, right, of this episode, which was like the murder of the animal that they do kill and the war, right? Both of those felt pretty gritty.
Yeah, and I think I would add to that, the king, when he went to kill the animal that they were tying up, stab it right here, okay, a little to the left. I don't think he was that excited to go through all that, but he will always go through the motions of what's expected of him. Whereas she wants to break the order. And in this case, she sees the white heart. Would have been a glorious thing to kill it, maybe.
Yeah.
It may have also been frowned upon, like you took that glory away from the king. In any case, she will not do the expected thing. She's not going to go through the motions just because that's what the realm expects.
Yeah, and she also, earlier in the episode, mentioned she didn't like the gore of hunting. But maybe that's just a setup for practically why she did that. But you're right. Thematically, it makes sense. She won't go through the motions.
Well, the kill also wasn't really earned. They didn't hunt for it. It just showed up right there.
Yeah, but I think that still speaks to it because I think anyone else, they wouldn't care about that honorable thing when it comes to this animal.
Yeah, well, also, I mean, the king gets credit for killing the animal when he didn't do any of the work.
Yeah, I love the applause. That was nobody was really feeling that applause.
And then, of course, there's also the scene, right, where the boar attacks Rhaenyra, but I think that's the thing we can discuss in the full take. I think there's a lot of other interesting elements that have happened here with Rhaenyra.
I really like how, the Lannister is probably going to take a lot of credit and feel great about the fact that the king used his spear to kill it when the king didn't care at all that. He's just okay, here's the closest weapon, fine, I'll use that.
I just picture him.
He's going to be like, my spear.
You know whose spear that was? He poked it with my stick.
Twice.
All right, with that, I think we can wrap it up. A few orders of business. One, if you're watching us on YouTube and if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more. If you prefer to listen to us instead of seeing us, just check out the links in the description or search for Talking Targaryen on any podcast app. If you're listening to us and you want to watch us, check out the link in the show notes. It'll take us to our YouTube channel. Typically, the instant takes are streamed live. This week was an exception. But yeah, check out the link if you want to be part of those live streams. You can chat with us. You can throw your ideas out there, be part of the conversation. I'd also say, if you want to help us out, look at Daniel's face. Wouldn't you like to see a big old smile on that face? To do that, all you have to do is go into the Apple Podcast app, leave a rating, leave a review. Adam complained a lot in the first episode about the original Game of Thrones. Some people didn't like that, so we need to dilute the reviews. And by the way, speaking of Adam, he is intending to be on these episodes as much as he can. His schedule's a bit crazy right now, so we didn't kick him off the podcast or anything. He will be on as much as he can be.
He's been on set filming for House of the Dragon Season 2, so it's been a little hard to get him here.
You may have heard Miguel Sapochnik, the showrunner, step down. Adams stepped into the role. He's taking over, and so it's in good hands. Also, if you want to support us, check out the Patreon. We do some exclusive videos there, and it'll help us to upgrade the set. It's also, it costs money to host these podcasts. I'm still hosting podcasts we stopped doing years ago. I'll cancel those. Don't worry. The Patreon is not going to the feed for Gil Reads Comics. And last thing I'll say is, if you want to chat with other one-takers, other talking Targaryensers, you can check out the Discord, link in the description. Anything else, Daniel?
That's it. Thank you for watching.
And how do we, guys? We always sign off the show the same way, right? Dracarys.
Those were flames.
Instant take.